Hi dear students, how are you today? And welcome to your grammar lessons. Today we are going to talk and analyze Unit 3 from the grammar reference from the Ready for Advanced book, Macmillan, okay? So I just hope you have in front of you your book or your documents or whatever you're going to use to follow the lessons. And also, once you have seen the lesson, if you have any questions, just leave them on the comments below and I will answer them as soon as possible, okay? Right, so this is Unit 3, hypothetical situations and conditionals, okay? What hypothetical means that it's unlikely, imaginary, or could have happened but didn't happen, right? So we're gonna start with past situations, and in past situations we have wish and if only. Okay, this is pretty similar to Spanish, okay? And we use them with past perfect. For example, I wish I had studied more. Sería, ojalá yo hubiera estudiado más. It's basically the same. But you can also use if only. I mean, if only I had gone to sleep before. Si simplemente me hubiera ido a la cama antes, ¿no? So, I mean, you can use both to talk about these hypothetical situations in the past. Then we have should plus perfect infinitive. So this is I should have done something, no mystery with this. Debería haber hecho algo. So, okay, you shouldn't have called him. I shouldn't have, done exercise without stretching, whatever, okay? Then we have, third conditional sentences, okay? And for that, you have to use if plus past perfect, if I have done, and then on the other side you can use would plus have plus participle. For example, if I had studied more, I would have passed the exam. Typical one. Okay. Also, on the second part of the conditional, instead of would, you could also use some modal verbs like might or could. For example, if I had finished before, I could have gone to the party, or I might have gone to the party. Okay, so these combinations are very good. And right now, I know this is a very advanced level, but I just want to say something about conditionals. Okay, remember that in the if part, normally you don't use would. Okay, and I'm saying this because in some areas of Spain, people use conditionals badly, because you have to say si yo hubiera hecho, not si yo habría hecho. Okay, so the problem is some people say si habrías venido, and that's wrong. And then you go to make the conditionals in English and you use would in the if part, but it's not correct. Okay, so just remember this: it's past perfect in the if part, no would. Would is on the other side of the conditional. Obviously, you can change the order. I mean, it doesn't really matter. You know, I would have earned more money if I had got a better job. So the order is exactly the same. Okay. Obviously, you can use negatives on both sides. You know, if I hadn't been to Italy last year, I would have come back this year. Okay, so that's all you have to know. Then we go on to the next page, and there is a more formal variation for third conditionals, okay? And is to omit if beginning with had. For example, had she known about his criminal past, she would never have employed him. This is something similar in my mind as when we say in Spanish, de haber sabido tal cosa, pues whatever, okay? So, I mean, you can also use this formula, you know. Have I finished before, I would have gone to the party, okay? But it's formal, okay? Right. Then you can have mixed conditionals. For example, you can mix second conditional and third conditional in the same one. Like the example here is If I weren't so broke at the moment, I could have bought you something decent for your birthday. But you could also say, well, if I hadn't drunk so much last night, I wouldn't have hangover today. Okay, like past, present situation. Okay, then you can use them to describe situations in the past. Like, for example, if I arrived late at the office, my boss used to get really angry. In the sense that if I arrived, like whenever I arrived, you know. Okay, now we are going to part B, okay, which is present and future situations, like, and we're gonna go over all the conditionals, okay. So 01. 01 is present in the if part and present on the other part too, okay. And some people get really confused when it comes to zero conditionals and first type conditionals, but there is a difference, okay. In zero conditional, what happens is that if the first part happens, automatically the second part happens too, okay. So for example, I can say an example. If I go to Toledo, I stay at my friend's Pepe, which means that anytime I go to Toledo, if I'm there, I'm staying at my friend's house, Pepe, okay? So that's important. Also, you can use zero conditionals for things that always happen or are universal or facts. Like, for example, if you heat water at 100 degrees, it boils. Or, for example, if you put your hand on the fire, it gets burned. Unless you're a superhero, for sure, but it's gonna happen, okay. So that's for zero conditional, okay. Then we go for first conditional type 1. In the if part, present, a present tense, and on the other part, a future tense. That could be will, going to, or even a modal like might or could, right? So type 1 is like the first condition has to be met and the other things will happen, okay. The typical one, if you pass your exam, I will buy you a video game, okay. So fine, yeah, right. Or for example, obviously you can make negative sentences true, and you could say something like, if I don't have breakfast in the morning, I will go to a hotel and have it. Maybe it wasn't a very good example, because that could, like, okay, for example, if I am not at home, I will be somewhere else. Stupid one, but it's fine, no? Okay. Then you have, and this is well, a second thing, like special, I knew maybe to you, which is like if plus should happen to or should happen to make the event more unlikely or more of a chance of possibility. For example, if I happen to see Mr. Dieter, I will ask him for you. Or if you should happen to miss the bus, I could drive you there myself. Right, just to make this quicker, the equivalent in Spanish will be something, si por un casual ves a fulano, dile qué tal. O si por un casual pasa, que no va a pasar, pero si pasase tal, 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 pues me llamas. So that's the way really to use if you happen to see, if you should happen to see, and so on. This is structure, okay? Then a more formal variation is to begin with should. Should you wish to change your holidays arrangements, we will do all we can to help. Okay, this is like really formal, okay? En el caso de que usted quisiera, papá, should you, okay? Right, then we go for the second one, which is in the if part, past simple, and on the other part is would plus infinitive. And I just want to say again, this warning about some mistakes people make. Porque es si vinieras, vinieses, no si vendrías. So make sure that in the if part, you use past simple, not would. And the typical example, obviously universal one, is if I won the lottery, I would quit my job and I would travel around the world and all this. Obviously, type 2, hypothetical. It's not going to happen. You're not going to win the lottery. Sorry, mate. Okay? So just make sure that you know this. And as I said, the order, is indifferent, and you can like use negatives on both sides too. If I didn't have so much work, I wouldn't stay at home at the weekends. Okay? Then we have another way to say that even though we're talking about hypothetical situations, this structure makes the event even more unlikely, right? So if I were to, for example, if you were to walk in that direction for another 1,000 miles, you'd eventually arrive in Warsaw. Well, esto es como decir, en el caso de que fueras a hacer esto, que no lo vas a hacer, but that's it. So remember, if you were to do something, okay? It's like if you were going to do, but just take going out, and if you were to do something, okay? Just to make the event like pretty unlikely, not just hypothetical, okay? Then a more formal variation on this also is start with where. Like, were they to break the contract, we will of course take legal action. So this is like really formal. En el caso de que ustedes se diera el caso, were you to do something, okay? And then you have the last point, which is suppose, supposing, and imagine. That can be used instead of if. But in Spanish, sometimes we use like present tenses like imagina que te pasa esto, or supón que te pasará esto, but also people use it with present. But in English, even though we're talking about the hypothetical future, right, the structure goes with past. So that means it's supposing, suppose, and imagine plus past. Okay, so suppose you won the lottery, imagine you travel to India. Okay, so just remember this, it's important. Okay, then as I said to you before, both never goes in the if part, but there are some exceptions, and the last point is about those exceptions. Sorry. Can sometimes be followed by will, would, or going to. Okay, for example, when making polite requests or describing the result of a class of action. For example, if you would take a seat for a moment, it's like really polite, yeah. I'll tell Mr. Graydon you here. Or if it's going to be more profitable for the company, okay, that's a natural, sentence. So that's all for today. Just like read the reference again, do your exercise, ask me if you have any doubts, leave your comments below so I will answer, so maybe other people can read them too, and just have a nice and happy day. Bye.